Good morning, everyone. Whoa. My name is David Adams, and on behalf of the Board of Trustees of the Monte Vista Unitarian Universalist congregation, I want to welcome all of you here in the sanctuary and also on Zoom. So it is our custom before we begin our formal service just to remind anybody or everybody of any announcements that we have. And this is the last Sunday that I will announce this, which is that next Saturday is our 70th birthday celebration. And we're going to have a whole variety of activities, fun things, food. We'll learn something about the history of our congregation. And so that's going to happen beginning at 4 o'clock until whenever we stop partying. And so please mark your calendars and make sure to come and enjoy. I think that's pretty much it for announcements today. So before we begin, please silence your devices. I'm going to sit down and silence mine. And just a reminder, by the way, that we do have our happy birthday box here for any donations to help support the birthday party. Thank you.
Thank you, David. And welcome, everyone. Sorry, let me get my monitor up and running. And welcome to everyone that is with us online in our Zoom sanctuary, and also for those of you here with us here at Monte Vista Sanctuary. It is our custom also to open our service by the ringing of the bowl. We ring the bowl 3 times, once for those who came before. The Tongva and other native peoples who were the original stewards of this land and called it home long ago. We also honor our ancestors and the founding members of this congregation who imagined and formed it 70 years ago. Once for those of us here and now. For our members and friends, our visitors, our staff, and our extended UU family who hold, care, and grow this beloved community that we know as our own. And once for those who will come. For all who will find belonging here with us and call MVUUC their spiritual home in the days ahead. We light our chalice at the beginning of our service, and I'd like to invite Reverend Ellen Livingston and her son, who's visiting with us today. Marcus and Ellen, if you could come forward. Yes, yay, Marcus. This matches here. Okay. Our time together in worship is intimately connected with our daily lives. As a symbol of that connection, we light our chalice with a flame that represents our shared light of hope and witness. He can light that one. That's for a little later. It is. You never display it. That one has a switch. If you could just flick the switch underneath it. And you can leave the match on the rocks. It's fine. That's for the children. Please hear the words of Kathleen Mateague from her poem, Sabbath Home. Here in the refuge of this Sabbath home, we turn our busy minds toward silence and our full hearts toward one another. We move together through the mysteries, the bright sunshine of birth and the shadowed questions of death. In our slow walk between the two, we will be wounded and we will be showered with grace, amazing and unending. Even in our sorrows, we feel our lives cradled in holiness that we cannot comprehend. And though we each walk with a vast loneliness, the promise that we offer here is that we do not walk alone. This is a holy place in which we gather, the light of the earth brought in and held, touched then by our answering light, the flame on a chalice, the flicker of a candle, the lamps of our open faces brought near. In this place of silence and celebration, solemnity, and music. We make a sanctuary and we name our home. And into this home we bring our hunger for awakening. We bring compassionate hearts and a will toward justice. Into this home we bring our joy and the gratitude for ordinary blessings. Into this home we bring the courage to walk on after hard losses. And by our gathering, we bless this place, and in its shelter, we know ourselves blessed. Amen. Let's sing together. I'd like to invite you, if you're full of vinegar and want to stand up and sing out, to please stand as your body allows, as your spirit calls you. We're going to do a little medley for our opening songs this morning. We'll start with number 389 in the hymnal. It's Gathered Here, and then we'll allow Lily to work her magic and we'll make a medley with Spirit of Life. Standing, we'll speak together our covenant. The words are also in your order of service, but they'll be on the screen for those at home. Love is the doctrine of this congregation, the quest of truth its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve the world in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other. Please be seated. Everyone but Robert. Sarmon. It's time for our wisdom tale and our director of lifespan religious exploration.
Good morning, everybody. So the story is Beyond Every Door by Molly Hausch Gordon. Who here knows the book, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe? Can anyone tell me how Lucy discovers Narnia? Lucy looks for the perfect place to hide, and she opens the door to a big wardrobe. She goes through the door and into the back of the wardrobe, and suddenly she's in a whole nother world. A magical world with witches and fauns and talking beavers. Wouldn't it be cool if there were a magical world beyond every door? When Lucy opened the door to Narnia, it didn't look like anything special. It was just a boring door to a wardrobe full of clothes and coats, but across its threshold was magic. Lucy already had a foot in Narnia before she quite realized what was happening. Many of the thresholds in our lives are like this. We don't know that we're crossing into another world until we're already halfway there. The door of a church takes us down a pathway of growth we might never have expected. The door of the doctor's office suddenly opens out into life with a hard diagnosis. A restaurant door opens onto a first date and echoes forward into a relationship of a lifetime. A beloved person's door closes behind you and sends you out into the world heartbroken. The door to a library or a gym or a dance studio introduces you to a life's passion you might not have otherwise discovered. We cross these thresholds every day of our lives, for good and for ill, in joy, in sorrow, in bittersweet truth. Truly, even our own front door is a great threshold, no matter how familiar the worlds within and without may be. Given our lives' reality of constant change, every day we open the same old door again, only to step out into a world that is new since the day before. In this way, there is a new world behind every door, awaiting our discovery if we only encounter it as such. Thank you. And I believe all of our children will be connecting on Zoom today, so I will be carrying the chalice out alone, but we will be headed to the children's class right now. Yeah, they can hear us sing on Zoom.
Our offering message today begins with reading number 675 in our hymnal. It was written by Ellen Johnson Fay, and its words move us by their resonance that touches on our willingness to offer care and support for our congregation and its work. She writes, "The offering is a sacrament of the Free Church. It is supported by the voluntary generosity of all who join with us." She reminds us that the gifts we bring are a sacrament, an offering of sacred significance. And as we work together to shape our new normal and to make our way forward through these unusual days, our tending to the good care of our congregation is a responsibility that we share. In times such as these, it is both our calling and our challenge. Our care for one another is utmost in these most unusual days. So I invite you to participate in this sacrament of our Free Church, supported by the voluntary generosity of all who join with us. Please bring your gifts of financial support for the congregation and any non-perishable items for the Inland Valley Hope Partners Beta Center forward to the baskets on our altar. Online donations will be welcomed through the link to PayPal in the chat box. And the offering will now be graciously given and gratefully received, in grateful appreciation for our shared hopes and values. We like to share our joys, and our concerns in our lives as a part of our Sunday service. We have these little papers in the back that I'm sorry I didn't announce at the very beginning, or maybe, David, we can mention that next time, that if folks want to share something with us, that they could fill out one of these papers. I do have one. There may be one in the chat box. Let me open that up and look. No, not yet. If anyone in our Zoom sanctuary has something that they would like mentioned, please go ahead and type it in there. I believe this one may have come from one of our visitors, so excuse me, there's no name on it, but I'll go ahead and read it, and we will hold these joys and concerns in our hearts as well. The joy is hope for a good career of healing other patients. And there's concern with chronic illness, pain from family and friends, and then it also mentions estranged. So there's some separation going on there, so we hold that in our hearts. I do have a message that came to me earlier in the week from Kay Perlman. She mentioned the book that Maribel shared in the service last week that was written by Ellen Harper was a super deal on Amazon. So I got her message and hopped on there and bought one for myself, so I have mine to show. It's called Always a Song, and it was less than $2.50 for a hardcover copy of it. So hop on there and get one for yourself if you so wish, but also know that Kay's generosity is that she bought 2 for our library. So you could take it from the library and read it as well. So thank you, Kay. That's very generous. Yeah. I ask that we also send our prayers to Mary Darrow. Catherine mentioned last week that her husband Dave, our beloved Dave Darrow, died suddenly on Thursday of the week before. So it's only been a week and a half for Mary. I've spoken with her a couple of times, and she's not planning, right now, she's not planning a memorial for the congregation here, but she will be having a little get-together in her home in early October to memorialize and celebrate David's life. So I thought it might be nice for us here to engage in a ritual to celebrate our relationships with Dave as well. So up front, we have a candle that's lit in the center, and that will represent Dave's life. So we'll take a candle from the jar and light it from that central candle, and then place it in the sand, if you would. And that will represent your relationship with him and your farewell to him. You're welcome to come forward. Thank you. It's beautiful. I'm not sure if Mary's logged in this morning, but I'll definitely share this segment with her. I took a picture for her. I invite you to remain seated as we sing our pastoral hymn. It's number 1058 in the teal hymnal, if you have one, and we should also have the lyrics on the screen as well for those at home. It's Be Ours a Religion. Reverend Allen, if you could come up and join me, I would appreciate that. We'll be doing our reading together for today. It's reading number 657 in the hymnal. Come on up. I'm not afraid.
We're both so skinny we can sit here.
That's right. And it's written by Sophia Lyon-Faz, and it's titled, It Matters What We Believe. Some beliefs are like walled gardens. They encourage exclusiveness and the feeling of being especially privileged.
Other beliefs are expansive and lead the way into wider and deeper sympathies.
Some beliefs are like shadows, clouding children's days and fears of unknown calamities.
Other beliefs are like sunshine, blessing children with the warmth of happiness.
Some beliefs are divisive, separating saved from unsaved and friends from enemies.
Other beliefs are bonds in a world community where sincere differences beautify the pattern.
Some beliefs are like blinders, shutting off the power to choose one's own direction.
Other beliefs are like gateways, opening wide vistas for exploration.
Some beliefs weaken a person's selfhood. They blight the growth of resourcefulness.
Other beliefs nurture self-confidence and enrich the feeling of personal worth.
Some beliefs are rigid, like the body of death, impotent in a changing world.
Other beliefs are pliable, like the young sapling, ever growing with the upward thrust of life.
Thank you. Thank you. Now I invite you to share a special piece of music that Lily has prepared for us. to go write another sermon, sorry. That was church, folks, yeah. Ah, beautiful, thank you so much. It was just 2 weeks ago that we began our reflection on Tom Owen-Towle's book titled Growing a Beloved Community, 12 Hallmarks of a Healthy Congregation. We looked at the first 6 characteristics of a spiritual community that has a strong, growing identity and a shared passion to thrive and help serve the world. But let's review them before we go on to 7 through 12. The first one was occupy holy ground. Our sanctuary and surrounding campus is our holy ground, our spirit's home. Our new spirit level grant to refresh those things that need our attention after almost 3 years of COVID lockdown is just one example of the ways that we acknowledge that we stand on holy ground when we're here, not just on Sunday morning, but every time we gather throughout the week. Our upcoming celebration this Saturday will reflect the love and respect that we have for this holy ground that has been holding us for decades. The second one was welcome all souls. Being a warm and welcoming community offers a sense of belonging to all who come to visit. We're pretty good at that, but we can get better, and we will. Number 3, care for your own. Our care for each other is the single most important example of love and acceptance that we can exhibit. When visitors sense our genuine care for one another, it draws them closer than any other aspect of welcome that we could offer. Number 4, give everyone a voice. Well, my husband argued this one with me this morning. You mean you want to give everyone a voice? But yes, those who are here that are among us, that are aligned with our principles and our purposes, that are very quiet, like we don't hear from Doris enough, we don't hear from Kay enough. Giving voice to each and every person is a practice that we can consciously strengthen in our lives, both personally and as a congregation. Number 5 is to encourage unity amid diversity. So although we may feel that unity in diversity seems to be a pipe dream in these days, we can be and we must be determined to prioritize it in our congregational life and let that ripple out into the lives that we share with the world and to bless and to heal the divisions that we see everywhere in the world right now. I think we have something special and we can teach it by our example of how we listen and talk with others in the world that we disagree with or that are just diverse from what we're accustomed to. And then there was number 6. Number 6 was an encouragement to create a balance between justice and joy. Our congregational lives have that justice burning inside of all of us, but we also share times of joy like we will on Saturday. Because there is a season for both. And it's important that we have a good balance of it because one relies on the other. We do well to keep our finger on the pulse of how we might bring that balance into the daily living of our faith. Today's look at the 6 remaining hallmarks that our friend, Rev Tom, lists begins with number 7. He asks us that we need to pay attention to looking back, around, and ahead. He starts this chapter with a reading by Irish poet George Bernard Shaw. Ironically, Reverend Ellen shared this very reading with us at our Taco Tuesday this past week. So I don't think there's any coincidences anywhere, right? So it was just so beautifully synchronistic that I thought I would read that for everyone. I am of the opinion that my life belongs to the whole community, and as long as I live, it is my privilege to do for it what I can. I want to be thoroughly used up when I die. Life is no brief candle for me. It is a sort of a splendid torch, which I have got hold of for a moment, and I want to make it burn as brightly as possible before handing it on to future generations. George Bernard Shaw. We have begun to shine in this area as we've added our honoring of the past, present, and future in the opening of each Sunday worship as we ring the bowl 3 times. And our 70th birthday celebration this upcoming Saturday will be a fabulous event where we will cherish our history, we will salute our present, and we will look with bright hope toward our future. We're all looking forward to having a great time that day. We'll be reflecting together on our present in the months ahead, too, and doing an assessment of ways that we can reorganize to fit our size. Grounding ourselves in an identity that fits well can help us begin to look deeper into the positive ways that we can chart the course for our future. Looking back, around, and ahead is one of the 12 hallmarks that I believe we're quite good at. And it's also one that we'll be focusing on with more intention as we go into the fall and the winter. Number 8 is spread our good news. Our belief in the relevance of our faith is an integral part of our daily lives. It goes a long way toward the evangelism that we bring to the lives that we touch in the world. I know that word is scary to some of us, but it's what we do. When those we share our lives with are witnesses to the ways that Unitarian Universalism has had a positive impact on how we live our lives and how we live out our faith in the world, we are spreading our good news in the most genuine of ways. As we are a people whose faith is ever evolving, measured not only by our achievements, but also by our aspirations. We aspire to stretch our souls with each new day, and the rest in the knowledge and the feeling and the comfort that we belong. We belong to a community that is ever in the making, where integrity, not perfection, is the goal of every communication. And we can each be better at spreading the good news of Unitarian Universalism, and we'll work together to find new ways to make that more intentional in our lives. Hallmark number 9 reminds us to practice respect. Rev Tom opens this chapter with these words. If we fail to be practitioners of right relations in our chosen tribe, then our admirable pronouncements and contributions in the larger society are bogus. In actuality, it may be far tougher to practice our Unitarian Universalist principle of justice, equity, and compassion in human relations within our families and in our congregation than it is everywhere else. But we are fortunate that this characteristic is an encouragement to practice respect, not to be a master of it. In my spiritual care of our community, I've witnessed a lot of growth in this area here. Your self-respect is growing, and from that comes your genuine work to see that all are treated with warm, personal regard. But when we do trip up, and that can happen easily in times of difficulty like we've had, we're willing to reflect on the forgiveness that we need to grant to both ourselves and to each other, and to do our work to restore the safe haven that we want our community to be. We are a respectful, welcoming place where those in our community respect themselves and others. We are a shelter for many beliefs within one community where opposing views are respected and accepted. And this is a rare thing in our world, and holding it as one of our central identities requires each of us to learn love and practice peace. Through the times of conflict that will no doubt continue to keep coming, we must also be practicers of respect. When we hold our congregation up to that lens, maybe it's a kaleidoscope, what do we see? How might practicing respect make us stronger? And how can we hold ourselves accountable to our best living of it in our private lives and in our church community? Making sure that we are practicing the respect of ourselves is one way to begin. Number 10 asks us to be a congregation that trains future good stewards. Stewards in service to the world are those who tend to themselves, to the church, to society, and to the earth. They think and act both globally and locally, and they know that the earth is our home. While Tom Owen-Towle published this book in 2004, this chapter on stewardship seems to have only increased in importance as our care of the planet has quickly become essential to our future. Being good stewards of the earth and of each other is one of the points of passion that will draw in young people to our congregation in the days ahead. The urgency of work to show the effects of climate change is something that both we and the youth of our world, especially the college-aged youth, care deeply about. And it's my hope that we can focus our energies toward becoming a place that is known for the eco-justice work that we do to save the earth. It is the best stewardship of the earth that needs our generous hearts most. The generosity of this congregation is one of its strongest hallmarks. You might not know that you're known for your generosity here, but I hear my ministry colleagues speak of your generous stewardship often, with a lot of jealousy. We know that generous congregations are generative ones also. The 11th hallmark of a healthy congregation is one that keeps journeying. Writing about our faith as a whole, the author makes a statement that could actually come from his knowledge of this community, and he does know us well. I bet he had us in mind. He writes, "For us," meaning the UUA, "evolution isn't just a biological fact, but a personal and an institutional one also. Each step of our journey holds some deepening affirmation, some correcting discipline, and some fresh wonder." I hear a loud resonance to our fourth principle and our passionate compliance to always be seeking that free and responsible search for truth and for meaning. To keep journeying is exactly this. To keep on the path, seeking, finding, and creating the truth and the meaning that there is to teach us as we go. But no matter how difficult, MVUUC has seen its journey as an open road that we are on for the long haul. And number 12, know that you're not alone. The last of the 12 hallmarks of a healthy congregation is our reminder that this congregation is here for us to hold, and it is here to hold us. There are 3 dimensions of our relationship to the congregation that, when tended to, will keep us healthy and help us to grow our beloved community. Those 3 are believing, belonging, and becoming. Olympia Brown, the first woman to be ordained by the Universalists in 1863, gave us these words to remind us of this. "Dear friends, stand by this faith. Work for it and sacrifice for it. There is nothing in all the world so important to you as to be loyal to this faith which has placed before you the loftiest ideals, which has comforted you in sorrow, strengthened you for noble duty, and has made the world beautiful for you." We, as members of this beloved community and part of the larger association of congregations in this faith, are here to stand for it and work for it and sacrifice for it. We are growing our beloved community, and these 12 hallmarks are trophies of the 70 years plus that have formed MVUUC into a place of believing, of one community that has many beliefs, a beloved community that gifts each of us with a bone-deep sense of belonging that we offer to those who choose to be with us. We are a place of becoming, where the journey that we have traveled goes on, and we are able to become more like our best selves, more like our ancestors imagined for this faith, and more like our descendants need us to be, so that our beloved community will be here to hold them as well. It won't always be easy, but we know how to journey difficult paths. In closing, I want to share these words written by James Baldwin. They're in his book titled The Price of the Ticket. One must say yes to life and embrace it wherever it's found. And it's found in terrible places. But nevertheless, there it is. For nothing is fixed in place forever, forever, forever. It's not fixed. But the earth is always shifting. The light is always changing. And the sea does not cease to grind down rock. Generations do not cease to be born, and we are responsible to them because we are the only witnesses they have. The sea rises, the light fails, lovers cling to each other, and children cling to us. In the moment that we cease to hold each other, the moment that we break faith with one another, the sea engulfs us and the light goes out. So let's hold on to each other and celebrate our beloved community together. Amen, and blessed be. Marcus and Mom, if you want to come up and extinguish our chalice. And we'll all read the words in our order of service. They were also sent out on email to those at home. Into our world we entrust our spirits. May the strength we have gained in this communal hour sustain us as we resume the work that is at hand. Oh, you don't have to do all those, Ellen? No. No. Yeah, extra credit. Right. Thank you. My words, my benediction, my blessing to all of you and all of you with us online today come from Vin Scully. Vin Scully writes, "May God give you for every storm a rainbow, for every tear a smile, for every care a promise, and a blessing in each trial. For every problem life sends, a faithful friend to share. For every sigh, a sweet song, and an answer for each prayer. And you know what? There will be a new day and eventually a new year. And when the upcoming winter gives way to spring, rest assured it will be time for Dodger baseball." So this is Vin Scully, wishing you a very pleasant good afternoon, wherever you may be. Let's remain seated and enjoy the postlude.